Over my years as a realtor in Waterloo region, I've had the pleasure of meeting plenty of successful person. Here are some of their stories. Welcome to People Around Town. Good day. I'm here with Craig Mello, local boy. Now, Craig Mello is a wealth manager with Mellow-Richardson Investment Management at Scotia McLeod. So he deals with some big money, some big people. But moreover, he's a great guy. I couldn't wait to have him on this podcast. Always got to see him in passing, friends through friends, if you will. But there's no doubt that this gentleman is a success. Hopefully I can figure out sort of what some of the magic is. It's not just luck. And Craig, thank you for joining the show.
How did you convince me to come on here, DW?
Actually, you know what? I wouldn't even say that beverages were involved. I think I just caught you at a good moment. I think it was somewhat, I think we went out for a lunch or something, and I mentioned that this was an idea.
Yeah.
And Craig, always being as supportive as he is for most folks, he's like, well, Watty, I'll help you out. And then it became real. And he's like, wait a second, let me see a show or two.
I'm just shocked because I'm not a social media guy. And you said, and I said yes. So I think that must mean, for some reason, I trust you and like you, DW. Remember those? I think I owned a house behind the Quick Trip. Remember that?
Yes.
And I think you had that divey little apartment on Herb Street? Or
yes,
whose was that?
That was mine. Yeah, mine with Tim Harris. And I think
Tim?
our mutual friend John Awad used to like to go there. Mm-hmm. That place, if the lights were on, then that means somebody was home. So it's as simple as that. Yep.
Those were some good times. No, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure. Yeah, pleasure to be on this.
It's amazing. So any time I see you, you tend to have a smile on your face, which is great. I guess something sort of cues me in to think, okay, what is there any sort of routine or like mental routine you take yourself through, or sort of what's your awareness on that? Because I've never seen you off point.
Yeah, it's a good question. Like, I think I do carry my emotions. Generally, I'm aggressively optimistic, maybe. I am a morning person, so my day starts earlier than the average person as far as getting up, dog walk, read the paper and stuff like that. And I think that kind of carries through that I can, get the day going and being really positive and happy. But, I like to enjoy the funner things in life and laugh more than not, right? You got to see the comedy and everything sometimes. So.
Well, there's a lot out there, and sometimes it's comical, sometimes it isn't. Now, I'm curious about this morning routine, though.
Yeah.
So, about what time do you wake up?
6, a little before. You're in business. You probably wake up at 5 thinking about stuff and lay in bed for an hour or two, right? But so I like to get up, read the front section. I'm a Globe and Mail guy.
Okay, that's fine.
Have been for 26 years. On the front porch. I like the paper side of things.
Coffee or no coffee?
Coffee, front section, and then dog for a walk. I like to get outside. As we dig deeper into this thing, you'll hear a little bit more about the outdoors. I really like that side of it. It puts me in a good state of mind. Come back, then and then breakfast and read the second section, the business section.
So when do you first look at your phone?
I would check that when I came down the stairs. See if there's any messages. I'm also pretty early to bed, so sometimes I miss some of the group chats and things like that. Yep. Not so much work emails, just personal stuff at that time, right? I have a personal phone and a work phone. Lovely. I do like to keep it separate.
Okay, awesome. So, I guess so. Is that something? When did you pick that up? So when you started, did you just have the one phone? So when you started, like, what's your work-life balance then versus say now?
Improved.
In what way?
I think you got to separate it a bit. I think it's good for mental health. I mean, that's topical nowadays. But I just I like to on the weekend not have that work phone on me.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
Now, a lot of clients do have my personal number, blah, 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 blah. But I do like a little separation is healthy.
Sure.
Even in the old days when it was on both phones, if I got an email from a customer on the weekend, our business is kind of Monday to Friday.
For the most
deal
part.
with it on that part, right? It's a little different than your business, right? You guys got a lot more going 24/7.
Correct.
Ours is mainly traditional work hours, right? So I like to kind of keep that. I think that's good for the mental health. I think it's good for the modeling for the family too, right?
Good point.
Focusing on being present in the moment, right?
Fair enough. So you seem like you have it figured out now pretty well. I'm sure there's always room for tweaks, right?
Yeah,
so,
always.
That's what I'm noticing through this podcast, talking to other people. Like every time I have a takeaway, I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's getting added to the arsenal, if you will. When you started, so how'd you get into the business? Like, maybe did you fall into it? Is this something you always liked?
Great question. Very fortunate.
Okay.
My father was in the banking business for a long time.
Okay.
When I started first year university, he took a big step, and I was really proud of him, actually, because he felt a little trapped in that salary or climb higher sort of management sort of thing in banking. And he got his license to do stockbroking, right?
Okay.
CSC license. And
This is when you're in university.
yeah, so
Okay.
he would have started. I remember he was so excited when he got his first exam 3 years prior, and then he made the step. And he made that step, and it's a very entrepreneurial business. You gotta charge commission or charge
Sure.
something, or you don't get paid, right? You get the concept. And he made a step and did that in 91, I think, 92.
Okay.
Right around the first year I was in university. And so I came out of school. I did 5 years at Laurier. Wonderful, great school.
Took you 5, eh?
Yeah. Well, we can get into that too. It's actually kind of funny. I did start an honors echo with a minor
Okay.
in business.
For sure.
I was always like a guy that liked working, right? So
Okay.
I was always in the restaurant business, and I liked working. I liked making money. That was my thing, right? So
Okay, restaurant business.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, there
so
we go. So
we're gonna
there's-
frame back to,
Yeah,
to this, but restaurant business. What'd you do with the restaurant
Well,
business? What was probably?
I was an aquatic engineer, a dishwasher to start.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, and then became a line cook. So so I liked working. That was one thing I really enjoyed. And then the one thing I regret, we're gonna get different levels, but the one thing I regret in school, like I played football as well at Laurier.
Okay.
Go Hawks, baby!
Way to go. Hey, you got a guy
good
invited,
year.
a guy invited to the
Independent.
Senior Bowl, so that's not
Oh
bad.
baby, yeah, he's good. Apparently he trash talks on the line awesome too.
And-
I like that guy.
and
Hopefully
he
he
should.
does something right. He's a heck of a quarterback.
He's from London, but we won't hold it against
Yeah,
him too
that's
bad.
okay. That's okay. He played for the right school. But to bring it around, I was busy with football, honors echo. Second semester, I got working again. The restaurant business. Anybody who's been in it understands this. You end up getting more shifts, and I spent a little too much time working, and I tripped up on the calculus.
Okay.
So then I dropped back down to a history degree with a minor in business. It hasn't hurt me. I learned all the basics of economics and everything like that. It's just a little bit of a regret, you know what I mean?
Sure.
It's just like, if I was to do that again, maybe work 10 less hours a week
Yes.
and put it in the calculus, and I could have got an honor. But in the end, I came out with a history degree, had a great fun. Like football was the one.
And you did it for your full years.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, I took 5 years. Some people travel Europe. I came back and did a 50 year.
Some people
football,
call it a
right?
red shirt.
Right? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So great times, and so came out of that, and then right away got into business with my dad. More on the basically pushing paper, answering phones.
Sure.
Exciting time though. Late '90s, tech bubble,
Right.
buying, selling. You're a young guy. The business back then was much more transactional,
Okay.
right? A little less relationship. Let's buy XYZ, sell ABC.
People felt that they had like a hot
Oh,
lead on something, so they
yeah.
call you and say, just press play.
Oh, it was fun. It was fun. New
Yeah.
clients, new action, fast market around the technology, the internet boom. So that's kind of where I came into this business. Now, my dad was always a paper reader, so Globe and Mail was always on the table. Always a big reader of that sort of stuff. So current events. So that's the background of how I came into the business.
So when you were starting, did you live at home at that time then? So with mom and dad? So
Yeah.
And that was new to dad then overall then as well. So probably when he came home, he was talking about maybe this trade, that trade.
Yeah, for
Was that
sure.
the
Yeah,
shop
like
talk?
like we definitely talked that stuff. Like we did the initial offering of BlackBerry, right?
No.
Yeah, Research in Motion at the time. Remember RIM?
I-
It was
I-
RIM.
oh,
man.
I know.
It wasn't
So- okay.
BlackBerry. It was
Okay,
RIM.
so you tell me what you can tell me about that. I guess
Okay, it's
past
a cool
now.
story. It's a great story. local stories so exciting. Like, and I always say this to people when I travel too. People, where are you from? And you know, you always get in a thing. Oh, Waterloo, an hour west of Toronto. Now I'm like the home of the smartphone.
Yes.
I apologize for that because these things are a nuisance sometimes, right? But that stock came out at $8.95.
Okay. Yes.
Initial public offering, IPO. A lot of people think it was just a screaming success right away. But what you don't understand about that is that for a year and a half, my memory's a little soft right now, it got down to, I remember trading at $3.90. It really didn't hook up right away. Like it wasn't perfect out of the gates. And then it blew up, right?
I remember seeing it at 1437 on the ticker. It happened to be on. I'm like, I was selling cars to Lazaridis and those boys at that point in time. And it was on the ticker at 1437. I'm like, that just seems cheap. Next thing you know, it's split and just gone.
It goes through the moon,
Whatever.
But like, there's a moment there where personally with my own money,
Yes.
I was cut in half.
Sure.
Right? Really good learning experience. Good company. There's, you know, it's so, we can go so, but there's so much more in the stock market because good company going the right way, stock price cut in half.
True.
Right? You know, the emotions of that, and then saw it through and certainly had some success off it, right? So
I'm
probably sold it too early, but that's nobody else's
Well,
business.
you could have sold it way too late, though, too.
Yes,
so there's
this
the other
is
side.
true. Yep.
So, okay, this is pretty much the questions I was planning for you are getting thrown out the window here.
Okay, yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So, how do you deal with clients
Yeah.
that at probably a certain point in time you're like, wow, you're emotional, or you're more emotional than I figured you would be. Like, how do you talk them off the ledge?
Okay.
How often does this sort of thing happen? Just maybe sort of tune me in on sort of the mechanics of dealing with people and their emotions and their money, which is tied to their emotions and vice versa.
Yeah, getting better with it. It's never perfect. Emotions never are perfect, right? Everybody handles this sort of stuff differently. Changes in values of dollars. Everybody handles change differently, right? So how do we deal with it? We do a lot of work on the front end, getting to know the client. And then we always explain that this is the starting point. And as we work through things, different cycles, different stock market cycles, interest rate cycles, we kind of hone it in. I do find it's more newer clients that you battle with this a little bit, in my experience with my client base. As clients, as you've walked them through the cycles, they're less likely to call it.
Okay, yes.
So if we're to get a bit of a correction here, I mean, we don't want to talk about what's happening south of the border right now because everybody talks about it. It's a waste of time right now.
Sure.
But if there was a correction, I would get more calls from newer clients.
Okay.
Other clients, it wouldn't be thing. But we keep them, meet with them regularly. They know we have well diversification, good quality stocks. We're not trying to do anything silly. We have, I think the greatest thing that our team brings to a client is the discipline around investing. So we like to document what we're accomplishing, what the risk factors are. And then I find in those moments, there's newer clients, you got to just get together, look them in the eye,
meet them, yes,
and say, okay, when we met, this basket of money, did you need it all today?
Correct.
Do we need it all today? So if you owned a small bit, this is the one analogy I like saying. If you owned a small business, would you just sell it right now because we're in going into recession?
Yes.
No, you wouldn't. Like I said, this one client I had, it was interesting because he had an unbelievable, pretty cool tractor, like kind of cheesy, but beautiful antique tractor collection.
Oh, I know some guys that are into those. So old Massey and stuff like that.
So cool.
We had everything. So.
Yeah. And I'm like, Jim, so if somebody came to you and said, now that collection is worth 20% more, you're going to sell it? God, no, it's worth way more than that. I'm like, I know what we got is worth more than that. At this moment, It's not going to move like that. So you kind of got to relate it. You got to look them in the eyes. You got to tell them that what we own and everything we own, we understand and know. Mm-hmm. Once in a while, you got to get out of certain sectors, certain particular investments, because it's very transparent that it's not going to perform well in that. But if you have quality stuff, so that's what we think we add is the discipline. We got good long track records and go that way. But yeah, generally it's more the newer people in the door, Darryl.
Okay. Well, to me that'd be partially related, just because even though I'm sure you're referred in under a good premise, the trust hasn't been built yet. I guess over years and years and years, you built that trust with your clientele, and then the new people, fine, you might have received good word and come in under good authority, but it's new to them, and that comfort isn't there yet.
And you got to talk about trust, because and I'll say that when I'm first meeting clients, like our process is get to know the client, then show them what we would do, and then they get to decide. I'm not in sales. Like, if they want my advice and help, I can do it, right?
Sure.
But I always like with newer clients more touches, and I'll explain it to them. That helps me, because you can't just get trust, you have to earn it.
Correct.
And that can only be through interactions, conversations, and getting to know people and let them know what you're doing. So the earning of trust is huge, and it's not on the clients, it's on us.
Fair enough.
To earn their trust.
Yeah, that makes sense. So speaking of new clients, I guess what are your top 3 ways of attracting or being passed along or acquiring new clients?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, it changes every year, obviously. A lot of times client referrals.
Okay.
I'd say that's maybe the number one. Contacts, people you meet. We're very fortunate. We do get a little bit of referrals from the bank side as well. So Scotia McLeod, we're a wholly owned subsidiary.
Yes.
Bank of Nova Scotia. So
now that used to be a bigger portion of the leads that you would be through the banks. Correct me if I'm wrong.
did, and early in my career, not as much. Now a little bit more experience in what we've created with our team. A little bit more the higher net worth, more affluent Canadian complex cases we get involved because they know we have the experience and skill and platform to take care of them for sure. So I guess in a sense we've earned the institution's trust, really. Right?
Well,
so,
that's true. That's
you know what I mean,
yes.
Right? So, so we do get some there. So it's just from friends, networks, clients, the usual. You know all this stuff, right?
Does the golf course work for you at all?
Yeah, but it does. I don't golf.
Well enough or enough?
Well, I golf enough, I think.
Okay.
Because it's not my number one passion. I do enjoy, I like the outdoors, so golf works. This indoor stuff doesn't interest me quite as much because you're just indoors.
Sure.
I got other hobbies in the winter I can do. I don't golf for business, but it is a nice way. There's one thing to say, to bring some clients and friends out to the golf course.
Yes.
You get 4 hours. No, it's appreciated, but you get 4 hours with somebody. And you get to really know who they are, and they get to know who you are. There's something about that process if somebody's into golf that can be quite. It brings you together and gives you a common thing to talk about and enjoy the company. And you get a feel for a person, so it's powerful. And you get
if they start foot wedging and so forth, so
That's
on,
right.
then you also know, okay, this is how this is going to go down. I'll just keep that in. So actually, I think because balance plays a role, and I think that probably plays a big role in your disposition, always being positive, which I got to give you full credit for. Every time I see you, you seem good.
Yeah, well, it's nice to hear.
It's true. It's working. What else do you do for fun?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, Shannon and I, my wife, we like the outdoors.
Okay.
So every season, we've decided we live in Canada. There's seasonality. I love seasonality. I like the winter, but right about now it can right off. You know what I'm saying? So we like the outdoors, and that can be in a lot of different ways, Darryl. To me, I like fishing and hunting. That's outdoor.
Okay.
I like the outdoors with a little bit of an angle or trying to accomplish something.
Okay.
And it's not, for me, fishing is not about catching fish. I like to catch fish, but it's about the process.
Sure.
Right? And having something to do. So, I'll give you an example. You've caught me on a great mood right now. I'm going ice fishing this weekend.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. It's one of those great, with everything that's happening south of the border right now, where somebody's just focusing on profit and money, something like this, culture is so important, and it gets discounted. It's a great little tradition. You don't want to do it every weekend.
Sure.
That's where seasonality is nice. I like cross-country skiing.
Yes.
I don't have to do it every weekend, but I'll bring it back around. I ramble a lot.
That's fine.
But ice fishing, what a great Ontarian, Canadian culture piece. So I'm going away with a buddy this weekend. He's a wee bit of a power broker in this community. I won't say his name, but we're gonna have a lot of fun, and we'll probably catch some square-tail trout and some fork-tail trout, and then drink a few beers. And it's a good way for me to reset my mind, being outside. So what do? I like golf in the summer. I like time up at the cottage. We love Georgian Bay. We've been up there for several years. I like hunting. I like the process of it. My son's joining me in that. It's neat to see him hang out and interact with my friend group.
Yes.
So we have a bit of a recreational property north of Kingston where we log cabin, where we do a lot of that. And we've actually, it's kind of transpired, it's kind of gone into where we actually do a lot of, I'll call it, it's hip with the beer people, micro forestry. So we've been doing a lot of that. We got a sawmill and we do some stuff out of wood. We fall the trees and square them up and have some fun that way. So yeah, and it's so cool what the idea behind this recreational property is. A bunch of buddies that we all bought it together with a numbered company, and to see the younger generation come up,
and do it themselves.
Yeah, and enjoy it and see it, and the thought of later in life, it's kind of, I guess it's kind of like, you could kind of say it's cheesy, but the thought that, a generation or two from now, there'll be, and it'll toggle around between different families or something like that,
Sure.
but that are enjoying
Something
the outdoor.
built.
Yeah, it feels really nice. So Shannon and I just got back from Banff 2 weekends ago for around her birthday number, babes?
Congrats to
to her. So we were out in Banff. We did some downhill and cross the country, and wow, it was fun. So yeah, the outdoors is a real place for me to recharge and where I feel very relaxed, and it'll be a focus on in retirement for sure.
And then coming in.
Yeah.
So I'm sure retirement isn't quite here yet.
No.
Which is fair. If you were to say, or if somebody was considering reaching out to Mellow-Richardson Investments.
Yeah.
And now, granted, you have no problem taking people through the process. Mm-hmm. What would be something that you would want to let them know in advance before, getting into investments at this kind of level, if you will?
Oh, so a potential client before they're sitting down with us?
Before they're sitting down with you.
I mean, we can coach them through it. I think as long as we can get some good, candid, two-way communication going, I don't think there's really much they need to do on the front end.
Okay.
We can capture that. We're pretty good at uncovering.
Yes.
That we call it the discovery process, and that's the main focus of the first meeting or two in a lot of cases. Getting to know who they are, what makes them happy, what makes them stressed, what their goals are, where they are with their family. And that can be kids, and that as we know, as we get older now, you're worried about your parents too,
True.
Right? We've had this chat before, so they don't really need to bring a lot. It's helpful for them to have somewhat of a vision on what the next stage. I call it the income years rather than retirement, because I really encourage all my clients to keep busy and do stuff. So it's not like you're not working or doing things.
Correct.
But more the income years where you've done this accumulation of wealth, and now you need that to fund your life.
Understood. Okay.
Right. So no, there's not a lot of pre-work. We're good at what we do as far as uncovering stuff like that, Darryl.
It definitely seems to be the case. So, well, I'm sure you've seen some things over the years. The rim thing seems exciting.
Yeah.
Any, wouldn't be the deal, transaction or relationship that you're like, or instance or moment in business that just stands out, you're like, that was cool?
That was, yeah. I mean, no, like back in the younger days, yeah, it's hitting a fast stock, right?
Yes.
Less interested in that. Don't do a lot of that.
It's not, it's too scary.
No, it's not scary. I don't mind risk myself.
Sure.
I think the aha moment was, you're 10 years in the business and you realize if you can grind out that 6 to 8%.
Yes.
I had one client say to me, maybe this is the aha moment. It was the client. He's like, Craig, this thing's kind of like a snowball going down the hill. It's just getting bigger and bigger. I can't stop it with what you're doing. And I was like, aha, I don't need to hit fast stops,
yes.
Right? We just need to grind out a nice, consistent adjusted rate of return. So that might have been an aha moment that happened 15 years ago. I think, Yeah, I just when we got our Mark and I, my business partner Mark Richardson, we got our discretionary license. Geez, that's got to be 15 years ago. That changed it because it went from a business where it was transactional based, like I'd call a client and say buy this, sell that, to now we set up a real tight process and we manage it accordingly. So we moved from being almost salesy
Yes.
to running well-rounded portfolios. And we can just, because not only are we the decision makers, but the client relationship person, we can do it very efficiently for our clients. So, but yeah, no great aha moment, shall we say.
I think the snowball in and of itself, as
Yeah.
you see that and visualize that, to me, that's a takeaway for myself, right? You can win a lot of games on base hits.
Well, in your business, you've seen it, right?
Yes.
Like, the real estate doesn't have to go up 20% a year every year.
And no,
It just has to grind higher, right?
over and
And
over
then
and
all
over
of a
again.
sudden, wow, 10 years later, it's like, what have we created here? This is awesome, amazing.
That's
Through
right.
discipline and thinking things through, right?
Well, you know what? As to not belabor, and so the fans will want more, I'll give you cheers to a coffee, I guess.
Yeah, cheers. man.
Whatever. I absolutely appreciate you coming through.
Okay.
And now I get a sense to what makes you tick and why you're so happy, and deservedly so. Craig
Well-
Mello.
Yeah, thanks, Darryl. Hopefully we caught some conversation fire here and some people will be entertained. It's hard to know.
I'm pleased as punch. I'm not cutting it. I'm just keeping it going. And so until the next point. But thank you so much for coming through, man.
Thanks, D-Dubs.
It's Craig Mello.